The secret to change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. So this is a quote by a guy named Dan Millman, and it's often misattributed to Socrates, but I'll tell you why. It's because this guy, Dan Millman, wrote a book called The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, which I have not read. But if it's anything like this quote, then it's probably awesome. I've heard good things about it. But in the book, there's a character named Socrates, and he's sort of like the wise, like sage, guy that becomes the guide or the guide to the main character and teaches him all these truths. And one of the truths is this quote: the secret to change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And the reason that this is amazing and important is because it's because it's true, right? And because we tend to do the opposite. We tend, if we're trying to make a change in our lives or in the world or in our country or our culture or our economy or whatever, we tend to try to fight against the things we don't want rather than putting all of our energy into building the things we do want. What you resist persists. For instance, let's look at the war on drugs, right? You have the war on drugs in America, and it's an utter disastrous failure, right? Like, we've been fighting the war on drugs since the 70s, and it's gotten a billion times worse. That's not statistical data. It's a guess, but it's probably pretty true. It's gotten way worse because we're fighting it. We're fighting it, and we don't understand what creates addiction. We don't understand what creates human behavior and why people are going and using drugs, right? So we fight it, and we end up making things worse. If you have any sense that you want to be your best, and that there's a standard that you want to live to, you feel like you have to. There are changes that you need to make, right? And so, but we tend to just focus on all of the things we don't want and try to fight those things and say, okay, I don't want that, right? Oh, I have an addiction. I don't want that. You're fighting it. I don't have enough money. So you're fighting it. You're constantly focused on the thing you don't want. And it creates the feelings. I talked about fear versus love the other day. You could say fear versus faith, right? Like it creates negative feelings, and negative feelings lead to failure, and positive feelings lead to success, right? It breeds confidence. When you're focusing on the thing that you want and the thing that you're trying to build, it creates positive feelings and creates confidence, and then it creates success. So that is my thought for today. When you're trying to make any change, as a religious person, particularly, I think a lot of Christians, a lot of Mormons for sure, we do have a standard that we try to live to, and it can be easy to focus on all of the things that we're doing wrong and all the ways we're failing, and to fight those things, right? And try to take precautions all the time of constantly safeguarding ourselves from making mistakes and going down the same paths that we've been down, and so. And what we find, and the truth is that if we keep taking actions to fight against all the things we're doing wrong, it actually leads us back to the same things we're doing wrong. So if you really want to change, focus all of your energy, your attention, your thoughts, and your efforts on building the thing you do want. So instead of, I don't want to have, I don't want to have bad relationships. So you're focusing on bad relationships and all the things you've done wrong in the past for bad relationships. Focus on having a good relationship. Picture that, visualize it. Think about all the things you could do that will create a good relationship, right? That's an example. Or instead of fighting against poverty, I don't have enough money, so I need to constantly be afraid and worried and stressed of like budgeting. I've got to make sure I'm getting tons of hours at work, and I'm getting all the money that I need, and I'm living that stress state, that fear state. Not that doing those things are necessarily bad, but it's the energy of the focus, the emotion and the feeling that you're creating within yourself, fighting against the thing that you don't want. Focus on, visualize, think about having the thing you do want. I do have a lot of money. How would I feel? How would I act if I had a lot of money? Visualize that thing and start to breed confidence within yourself that you can have that thing. If you're fighting against addiction, right, and trying to make a change and fight against addiction, stop focusing on, I'm so bad for having this addiction, I'm weak, I'm a failure, I'm never going to be able to change, I need to fight it. I've got to fight the temptations and fight the habits. No, focus on things that make you feel loved and connected. That will really heal the addictions, right? But you're focusing on the things that you do want in your life, and it starts to build those things as opposed to trying to fight the things you don't want. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Sometimes I have a tendency to feel like, okay, I need to prove that this is true, and sometimes I can't. But I promise you that it's true from my own experience. And just from the feeling that I get when I hear it. So when you're trying to make a change, you will find success when you put your energy into building what you want, as opposed to fighting the things that you've had in the past, fighting the things that you don't want.